And here on the best podcast available, I'm Jason Gibbs. He's Nick Shook. He's Andrew Gribble. And he is Brown's great and now retiree, Phil Dawson. Congratulations, and we are honored. We normally do this podcast, as I mentioned to you, after training camp, and we're recapping training camp practices. And our good friend in the PR department, Dan Murphy, said, would you like Phil Dawson? I said, we don't have to talk one thing about a play that happened today on the football field. And we're happy to have you, and congratulations on a big day for you and your family.
Well, I appreciate it. It's really special to be home, getting to see a lot of familiar faces, some new faces, but we're all Browns. And to reconnect with that is really special.
I mean, it's wonderful to have you here and also to have you come back home. I know personally, as someone who grew up in the area and grew up as a Browns fan, really starting with the return of the team in 1999, you were the only kicker I knew as a kid watching these teams. And for a long time, in some of those lean years, you were everybody's favorite player. I mean, you were the one extremely reliable guy who you knew. You didn't know if the offense was going to get in the end zone, but you knew if they didn't, Phil Dawson would be out there to put 3 on the board time and time again. So it's great to have you here.
And we've talked about it. We talked about it yesterday. Since 1999, probably the 3 best Browns players are Joe Thomas, you, and Josh Cribbs. Yeah. And that's 2 special teamers on this.
Josh and I were talking about it today. I saw him out on the field. And, going into a lot of games, the coaches were not all that bashful in saying, offense, just don't turn it over. Josh, get a big return. Phil, make the kick. And we'll add up enough of those and hopefully win if we play good defense. And that was the game plan going into games. And you know what? The games we won, they kind of went like that.
Now, I'll ask you this. When you first got to Cleveland, when did it hit you right away that this was a different environment to kick in, specifically weather-wise, when you got down to the stadium? And do you think being in Cleveland kind of triggered your appreciation for knowing all this stuff with the weather and things like that?
Well, I think I had to figure out the weather to survive. And I got a lot of credit for having it all down, and that felt good. And obviously I put a lot of work into that. But, my last season here, I was still learning things. Mm. And so – what I learned is you've got to be able to go with the flow as a kicker here. Your technique and your fundamentals, I call that the science of kicking. That's your muscle memory. You got to have that down pat. But then you got to have some art. You got to be able to just have some feel and some figure-it-outness, because there's going to be conditions that you face here that your fundamentals and your muscle memory and all that, you can throw it out the window. So I tried to, through the years I learned how to implement some art or feel into my approach, and that allowed me on those just extreme weather days to still get the ball through.
Talking with Phil Dawson, who officially retired as a member of the Cleveland Browns, and second in career points, first most seasons with 100 or more points with 6, first most field goals in a career here, most field goals in a season here. Is there a record that really you kind of treasure when you go back and look at it?
They're all special to have any of them. I mean, I literally – I think one of the reasons I got along so well with Cleveland is the way Cleveland goes about their business and the way I tried to go about my business were very similar. I just considered myself a guy who got up in the morning, went and worked hard, and didn't really care about any acclaim or anything that went along with it. And when tough stuff happened, you just got up again, you went back to work. That's what you do, and that's how you make a living. That's how you take care of your family. And the people of Cleveland are the same hardworking, overcome adversity kind of people. And so to have that mindset and that approach, you just kind of wake up one day and you've been there a while, and you don't really realize the things you did along the way. So now that I'm kind of in reflective mode, no longer performance mode, when I hear some of these records being read to me, it almost surprises me a little bit, but they all feel great.
Freddie mentioned earlier today, to play 20 seasons, that takes intestinal fortitude to go that far into your career. I'm just wondering, when did you know you maybe had we always talk about kickers, the right mental makeup. When did you know you had that, what it takes?
Man, I don't even know if I have an answer for that. I knew that I had a God-given ability to kick a ball, and I knew I had the desire to be great. How that was all going to play out, I didn't know. So I just went to work and tried to use the talents I'd been given and be the hardest working guy out there. And I will say, though, and I've seen this a lot in one of my boys, Drew. There's something too when the stakes are highest. Some guys show up and others don't. Has nothing to do with their talent or their toughness or anything. It's an innate quality that they have. I've watched my son Drew do it, and looking back, I think I recognized that early on as a kid, whether it was Little League baseball or playing basketball or even when my football career began. For whatever reason, whenever there was a big moment, good things generally happen for me.
You talked about in your speech today, coming in and putting in the work and making sure that you were prepared every Sunday. What went into that process for you?
Well, I mentioned checking the weather forecast about 20 times a day, every day. I mean, I literally would have the hourly forecast memorized going into a game because that would affect not only my game plan personally, but once I became a captain, started handling coin flips, that would affect the decision which end to defend. Sometimes knowing that the wind was going to be switching, we could get the wind at our back both quarters of a half as opposed to just one. So that was the preparation side of it. The physical preparation was intense, and I know that a lot of people chuckle at that. But if you ask any of my old teammates, they would back me up on that. I mean, would lift 6 days a week, masseuses twice a week, in the training room getting worked on almost every day, and then at home it never left me. I mean, my wife deserves a medal because even though I was home, my mind didn't stray very far from the task at hand that week. There was film study. I wanted to know everything about their field goal rush, their kickoff return, and then I also studied the opponent's kickers to help our return guys. I remember I'd sit down with Josh, say, Josh, here's how he's going to kick it to you. Or when he does this, expect this kind of ball. And to see Josh take off the way he did as a returner really excited me about the influence or the role I could have, not only by contributing in my own little way, but also helping with understanding of other kickers. So there was a lot that went into every week, but I loved every minute of it.
You talked about kind of the importance of family a lot in your press conference. And I'm just wondering, as you went throughout your career, obviously in '99, much younger guy, and then when you get toward the end of your career, how different did that make just your whole daily routine, everything when you started as a young guy, about to start a family, and then now at the end you've got grown kids?
It was a struggle at first. Just all of a sudden you have this little human being screaming and pooping his pants in your house, and you don't know really how to handle that. But I think it came along at the right time because I can remember being 2-3 years into the career when Drew came along, and I was starting to feel the pressure pretty good. And when I had a son, it changed everything for me, and it gave me a new why. And then as I had more children, and as my children started getting older, I had kind of established myself in the league and maybe had worked through some of the stress. Now the pressure of legacy started creeping into my mind, and the last thing I wanted to do on a Sunday is go out there and play terrible, and my kids have to deal with that at school. So there was kind of a series of moments along the way that my kids supported me without them even knowing it.
Who was your roommate when you first came here?
I had several. I mean, that 99 season, there were so many transactions. I mean, I can remember being in the huddle for a kickoff. And like, who are you? I mean, I had no idea who these guys were. So that, when Chris Palmer told me we're going to start out with you, my mindset was just so self-centered and on surviving. I did a very poor job that season of learning teammates' names, remembering things. I mean, I have very few memories of that season because I was literally just trying to survive.
We talked, Britton Colquitt, we talked to, Dave Zastadil, your good friend. They all have good stories about interactions because during the game, you're kind of off in your own little world. And whether it's working on the kicking net, whatever, they all seem to have really good stories about dealing with some kind of fan interaction and whatnot. Is there anything that stands out to you? Is there a memory from a fan?
Old Mile High Stadium, the bleachers would come, eye level to a player on the sideline, and they were, directly behind the bench. There was no room. So I'm in the net, and I'm warming up, and this guy's just letting me have it. I mean, he is tearing me apart. And I'm kind of used to that, especially as a young guy, not proven in the league. The fans would let me have it everywhere we'd go. But this one comment got me more than any other. And he leans over the edge of the chain link fence. He goes, "Hey, Dawson, slide a salad in there every now and then." And it crushed me. I mean, you could have said, "My mom's fat." You could have whatever you wanted to say, and I would have been fine. Bring it on. But he said that, and I was a wreck the rest of the game, trying to suck my stomach in, stretch my shirt out. I mean, he got me good. He got me good.
All right, so keeping in line with some of those memories, I think the two kicks that the fans want to know about maybe the most beyond that one in '99 in Pittsburgh was against Buffalo at the stadium, and it's snowing so hard you can't see the other side of the stadium, and you come out and hit not one but two incredible kicks, one that just dances in the air. I've never seen a football do what it did when you put it off the ground on that kick. What was it like preparing for that? Did you just say, "Here goes nothing"? What was it like?
First of all, I was not prepared for that. I don't know how anyone could be. I mean, I had always been one, however, that if it was raining outside, I was out kicking in it. If it was snowing outside, I was out doing it. If the team was, can't tell you how many times the team would be practicing indoors, and I was outdoors. I mean, it didn't matter. So I did take pride in that. But I can remember feeling no pressure that game. I mean, the conditions were so extreme, no one expected me to make them. So in a way, that was a blessing because it just kind of freed me up to go out there and let it rip. Sometimes when you go out in perfect conditions and it's a 35-yarder and everyone's, going to get a beer because commercial break's about to come after the made field goal and everyone just expects you to make it, those are the ones that are hard to handle mentally. So I can just remember feeling relaxed and almost excited. Kind of felt like playing in your front yard, "Hey, buddy, run around the mailbox and I'll throw you the ball." That's what that day felt like. And we got that first field goal opportunity early down on the dog pound end. That one was actually harder, I think, than the long one because the wind was way more in my face. And I just said, "Get it up." I kicked it outside the right upright knowing it would come back, and it came right back through and probably cleared by 3 yards. I mean, it was a 35-yard kick, something like that. Would have been good from 37, and that's it. And then the other one, I'm convinced to this day because of not being able to see the yard markers. There was so much snow on the field that's the only reason we tried that long one. I don't think Romeo knew how far the field goal was because once I figured it out, I'm jogging out on the field thinking this ball's going to land on the 5-yard line. I mean, there's no way this ball's going in. So I just said, I'm going to kick it as hard as I can, and we'll see where it goes. And it went in.
Off the crossbar. Barely made it in. All right, what about another kick that happened to go off a crossbar and a few other bars? Probably a higher pressure kick on the road in Baltimore. One that was ruled first no good, and then after overturned. What was that like?
Well, a little context on that one, and it's a bad memory for me, but the week prior I had tried a 53-yard game winner at Heinz Field, and I came up short. And so that entire week was awful. I feel like I let the entire city down. I questioned what's wrong with me. Can I rise to the occasion if another one comes? And so now the very next week, here's a 51-yarder against another hated rival. Some here in Cleveland would argue more hated than Pittsburgh, if there is such a thing. And we needed the win desperately. And to kick it, it felt good coming off my foot. There's always a little right to left down in M&T Bank Stadium. It curved a little more than I thought it would, hit the left upright, ricocheted off the stanchion, came back in. When I saw those referees signal no good, you can go back and watch the video. I literally bent over and grabbed my knees, and I thought I'm out of a job. Because I've lost 2 games, 2 weeks in a row against the 2 most hated rivals in all of football. No one can survive that. And it literally took my breath away. Wow. So as great a memory as it is now that everything worked out, in the moment it was horrible.
And that's 8 years into a career at that point.
But it goes back to that comment Coach Palmer gave me when I won the job, we're going to start out with you. And I think that just stuck with me my entire career. One bad kick away from it all being over.
You talked about the conditions being unique to M&T Bank Stadium. Was there one stadium or a few that had some really different kind of setups that you just knew from kicking there over time?
The one I never figured out was Chicago. Chicago is Cleveland wind, but with a bad field.
Okay.
And it was very difficult to deal with. So many variables with the wind. See, I can handle wind if I got good footing, because I will figure out where you have to kick the ball to make it. I don't care if I have to kick it sideways. I can do that. What I can't have is a very specific target I got to hit with an uncertain plant foot. Because then if your plant foot slides, now you have no idea where the ball's going. And sometimes those uprights, you have about a 6-inch window to hit the ball to make the kick. If your plant foot slides, you're done. And that was always my struggle in Chicago. But generally speaking, the whole Great Lakes region is kind of the kicker's hell. If you go from Green Bay to Chicago, Cleveland, Buffalo, those are the hard ones. I was really surprised my first year in San Francisco. Old Candlestick Park was not easy at all. I mean, I was unfamiliar with the area, the marine layer, and how cold it can be there compared to 30 miles from there, the microclimate. So that was extremely difficult as well.
You talked about kind of the short leash that all kickers seemingly are on. What do you tell young kickers to not let that get in the back of their head? What's the best advice you give to those guys?
I when I talked to the guys today, I said we need to try to remove as much head as possible. And the head game gets talked about more with kickers than any other position. And I've always kind of chuckled at that because, I mean, a corner needs confidence. A quarterback needs to know where he's going with the ball. Can't be gun shy when a pass rusher breaks. I mean, everyone needs to be mentally tough and have a strong mental game. But I think the reason kickers get talked about the most when it comes to the mental game is no one understands the physical requirements of kicking a ball. So because there's no, hey, do this with your plant foot, your posture's a little off, whatever the technique may be, because no one knows that, they just automatically go to this mental, oh, you must be a head job, you can't handle the pressure, you choke, blah, 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 blah. So where I'm going with all this is I would tell young kickers, focus on the physical. Let's get as good as possible at the physical, and then let's hammer that with muscle memory. I mean, I told them today, build up your volume so you can kick, and keep kicking, because that amount of volume, every good kick is one more good kick in your muscle memory, and now you can show up on game day when there is pressure, when there is stress, and let's be honest, that's a very difficult environment to focus in. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of times I couldn't focus. So all I did was put it on autopilot, and all that training I've done of the physical overrode whatever was going on in my mind.
Whoever wins that job, how much time would you recommend they spend at the stadium per week?
A lot. I told my boys today, we were driving down here from downtown, and I said, guys, I've driven this highway back and forth in shoulder pads, because I can remember I'd come out for practice, it'd be a little special teams period early, and then I wouldn't have anything until the end of practice. So I would literally jump in a van, and we'd go down to the stadium and kick all practice in the stadium and then race back here to finish practice here. So I just think it's like anything. The more you're there, the more comfortable you get with sight lines and just feeling it and understanding how the weather affects things. I would live down there.
You seem like, and obviously 20 years of professional kicking would make you like this, but you seem like you're very much a technician. Have you ever considered, maybe coaching or something like that in the future?
Yeah, I have. It's my experience, it's my expertise, it's the relationships I have. I enjoy. I'm at a point now, now that I'm officially retired, I'm trying to slowly let go of that competitor that I can do it better than you. So I think now I can turn the page and get excited about making someone else better. And that's obviously the role of a coach. So we'll see what happens down the road.
Do you have your boys kicking?
No. Who wants that?
I mean, you never know. It worked out pretty well for you.
The quarterback.
I want them to be a real player. So they've surpassed their dad's athleticism already.
We got to let you go. I know that you've got a lot of more stops here to make in the building. We appreciate the time. What's your message to Cleveland fan, especially as we get ready for a season that we all hope and think could be pretty special here?
I would tell them you deserve it and to enjoy it. I wish I could have done it for them, but I will be on Euclid Avenue with them when the Lombardi Trophy comes home.
I think there's no better way to end it than that.
No, I'm pleased.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a fantastic career. Thank you for all you did here.
Thank you.
We love you.
Yeah.
All three of us are from here, born and bred, and we've watched you for many years. And I think we were all a little angry when, unfortunately, you had to leave us. But That was out
Me
of our
too.
control. Yeah, exactly. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank
here.
you very much.
All right.
Sweet.